Tensions are running high in farming communities. Recent killings have left many feeling unsafe, and it's also led to violence at the Senekal Magistrates Court in the Free State, as you just heard. Let's get opinion on whether farmers are more at risk of being targeted by violent criminals than the average citizen. I'm joined by Johan Burger from the Institute for Security Studies. Johan, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. Of course, there are or is a lack of stats around farm attacks, which make it pretty difficult to say if farmers are being targeted. But through your research, what are you seeing?
Well, it's difficult to fix a number in terms of ratios. We've tried that before, but it's difficult given the types of farmers, the fact that farms and smallholdings are included. So there's an uncertainty about the precise numbers that we are talking about. But I think attacks on farms and farm murders must be treated as a special kind of crime. There's no doubt I've been involved in this kind of violence since 1998. I have no doubt that this should be treated as a special kind of crime, in particular because of the isolation of farms and the farming community, and also the fact that because of the isolation, criminals tend to spend much more time during an attack, during which they commit far more brutal acts against their victims than you would find in urban areas. There are other reasons, of course, as well. I mean, farmers are the food store of this country, and it's an important strategic asset. So, yes, I think it should be treated as a crime type of a special kind.
Yeah, so we're seeing more and more concern around farm attacks. We're seeing people go and protest outside court where two people are appearing regarding the murder of a farm manager. It seems like farmers have had enough. They're now no longer going to just complain at home. They're coming out, and it's led to violence.
Yes, and I mean, it's, in a way expected, not so much the alleged violence perpetrated by some of these farmers, but the fact that clearly a lot of anger was witnessed, a lot of emotion was witnessed during the events on Tuesday. Given the fact that there's been many investigations, high-level investigations, there was the Committee of Inquiry into Farm Attacks appointed by the Minister in 2001. There was an investigation by the South African Human Rights Council. Those reports are all available. So clearly there's been a lot of research, a lot of attention given to the problem. But still, I think, especially after 2003, when then President Mbeki disbanded the commandos, which led to the collapse of the Rural Safety Plan, there was a huge vacuum. There was also a complete absence of political will during that time. And so farmers, I think, felt neglected. They felt vulnerable. They felt as if they were left to themselves to do their own protection in addition to farming. And because of the brutality of some of these crimes that are committed during crime attacks, I think farmers increasingly are becoming fed up with the apparent lack of attention and political will as far as their security is concerned. So, yes, in a very unfortunate way, this culminated into what we saw on Tuesday. And, of course, the murder of this young man, 21, certainly, and especially the brutality of that attack would fire up emotions. And unfortunately, this led to some of the alleged violence that we saw on Tuesday at the court at that local court.
So, I mean, as you mentioned, this has been a concern for years now for farmers and the community as a whole. But is government, the police, doing enough to actually address this, or are we getting wishy-washy responses as to whether or not this is a victimization of farmers?
It's an interesting question. I think the irony of what happened on Tuesday is precisely linked to your question, because the day before, on Monday, the police, National Commissioner of Police, and Organized Agriculture released a joint media statement in which they came to an agreement about cooperation as far as security in the rural areas are concerned. And you know, one of the things that I think they did not say in the press release, as over the last few months, the National Commissioner and Organised Agriculture had a number of meetings in which they discussed these issues, in which they discussed methods of greater cooperation, joining their resources, because a lack of resources at smaller rural police stations is one of the reasons why the police have found it very difficult to implement their rural safety strategy. But I think by this joint discussion and eventual agreement, they found a way to join their resources and to work together. And I think all of these are very constructive, very positive developments. And it is just a huge pity that the next day there was this apparent confrontation between farmers and the police.
Yeah. Johan Burger from the Institute for Security Studies, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.